Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike Distilio. I am a recently hired director over at Central Office over the summer. And my job is to lead registration, data technology, and school and community outreach. So one of the initiatives that I tried to take was to showcase school leaders and eighth grade leaders and high school leaders as well. So I'm going to talk to you about why I respect Mr. Crawely so much, and then in turn, you can tell us about your students that you chose. So if I'm correct, Mr. Crawely, you were at an elementary school at one point. Am I correct? Were you?
For internship.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So was that TJ or was that?
It was in another district.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
So when I was talking with Miss Grimaldi, your name kept coming up, and since you've been hired at Chestnut Ridge, I've kind of known you just because of like our circles overlapped, because me being the former principal at Bunker Hill, me working with your colleagues, Ms. Kerfoot, Dr. Morris, Ms. Vernon, Ms. Vernon formerly working here, you know.
Right.
I knew your name and I knew all the wonderful things you were doing. So what I and then we were unfortunately or fortunately present together for a security drill at one point here, I believe. Am I correct on that, a few years ago?
I think so.
Yeah. So I got to know Mr. Crawely fairly well from my lens, and when I think about daring or ethical leaders, Mr. Crawely does come to mind because of just kind of, I'm going to use the word effervescence, right? And like, I don't know if you know what that means, but it means a very cheerful or bubbly disposition, right? So when I'm having a bad day, anytime I come into Chestnut Ridge, Mr. Crawely, you might not be happy to see me, but you always seem like you're happy to see me, and you just exude a positivity. Even if the area is burning around you, you'll always be smiling and you'll always be taking care of children. And I don't know if you know this, but my wife is a psychologist. So I have a real affinity for people who do what you do, because I know that the counseling world is a very difficult thing, because you forge so many relationships, and then you talk with some kids who need your help very much, and then sometimes we take that home.
Right. Right.
So anyway, I just respect you as a leader who always gives positive affirmations to people and leads a positive lifestyle, and that's why you're here. So if you can introduce our three students here.
Absolutely.
And tell us why you think they're leaders.
Absolutely. So first we have Gavin Hazleton, we have Linzey Boyer, and then last but not least, it's Aurelia Mattera. Gavin is a good leader and teammate on and off the field. He's in wrestling. He's also in football. He's also in band, right? And he's just very knowledgeable. He's a good participant, and he's a go-getter. Like when I met with all the students prior to the podcast, he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Like instantaneously, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I'm still deciding, but
Right.
Just kidding.
That's fine.
But his enthusiasm for learning is contagious, and his teachers see that, and I think that all other students also recognize that in him. So Linzey, she is a swimmer. She is also one of our student ambassadors. So Miss McMillan, our assistant principal, she heads up that program. She has a great sense of humor. She's a hard worker. She's always willing to reach out to help others. And then last but not least, again, Aurelia. She is. She plays ice hockey. She's kind, respectful, she's very creative, she's very responsible, and she's a hard worker. She has a very phenomenal work ethic, and she has a positive attitude about her work. I think for all three of them, the underlying, common themes is that, they're not afraid of peer pressure. I think that in middle school, it's really easy to go with the flow, to kind of blend in and to do what everyone else is doing. I think that to be a leader, it can be challenging, it can be daunting, but they hone in on those skills that they have. They're not afraid to lean in and to challenge their peers and to exude all those positive qualities that they have about them. I think that they see the big picture. They are upstanders. Just a really phenomenal group of students.
Thank you
So,
for sharing.
absolutely.
And it's a pleasure meeting all of you. So I'm
Nice
very
to meet you.
interested in what you all have to say. So this is the part where it's kind of difficult to kind of talk about yourself, right? And you guys seem to be humble people, right? But you have a staff member here who's a respected colleague of mine, a respected leader in the school, talking about what he respects in you all as leaders. So I want to kind of get a sense of what you guys see in yourselves and why you think, whether it's what Mr. Crawely said or something that's in your own mind, why you think you're here. So I'll start with Linzey, since you're right in front of me. So because everybody thinks they're going to get picked at the end. So I'll start with the person in the middle. So go ahead, Linzey.
So I said I view myself as a leader because I feel like I'm a very motivated person, and I always try to set goals and I work very hard to achieve them. And I also try to motivate others around me and tell them that I believe in them even when they don't believe in themselves. So
That's awesome. So I'm going to push you a little bit and ask you for some key examples. So
I'm a swimmer, so one of the hardest thing in this sport is it's very mental, and you have to believe in yourself, and sometimes that's very hard. And I always try to tell my friends, I'm you can do it, you're amazing, you're a great person, and you deserve to do your best and you work hard. So
fantastic. Thank you. Aurelia.
I view myself as a leader, especially in ice hockey. I like keeping everyone positive on the bench, hyping them up for games. And especially in ice hockey, one thing my coach always says is 80% of the game is mental. So staying positive the whole game, something not retaliating, is really important.
Yeah, that's a hard thing not to do because hockey's kind of an aggressive sport, right? That's very cool that you do. Where do you do that?
Flyers Training Center in Voorhees.
Very good. Nice. Outstanding. Gavin.
I see myself as a leader because I try to motivate others. Like in wrestling, if the team's down, I try and help them up. If someone does something good, I'll congratulate them. If they do something bad, I'll help them up. I take accountability for others too. So if someone gets in trouble, one of my friends, and I'll step in to try and back them up. And that's about it, I think.
Very good. Well, one of the things that it's interesting, you guys talk about the activities that you're in. So my past, I was a track runner in high school and in college, right? So when you're talking about swimming, when you're talking about ice hockey, when you're talking about wrestling, those are exhausting spurts of energy kind of sports that you have to do. I mean, you have to be, you're absolutely right. You have to be mentally tough in order to do those because you're exhausted. You feel like you're going to suffocate because of the work you're doing. So it's very interesting to me that you guys are emerging as leaders and probably doing some of the hardest sports around, which is really impressive. So thank you all for sharing about that. I appreciate it. One of the things, you all have your Hustle shirts on today, even Mr. Crawely, and just some feedback. Hustle's been around for a number of years. When Ms. Petrowski got here, I think she brought that with her maybe a year or two after she was here. But every school, every middle school has some version of Hustle. So Hustle is meant to showcase pride, and not only pride in your school, but reward people for doing great things, right? So you have Hustle, Orchard Valley has Panther Pride, and Bunker Hill has Bulldog Pride, or kind of what it means to be a Bulldog, right? And that was an initiative I led, and Miss Agassiz doing her version of that now as well. So when you talk about Hustle, we look at this is an acronym, meaning it creates a new word based on the other words. So when we talk about hands, feet, and body to yourself, we're talking about respect. When we say use materials correctly, we're talking about being present and being ready to go at all times. Talking about sitting quietly, that means kind of raising your hand to talk, to be heard. Don't interrupt tasks. Work hard like you do academically and in your sports and in your leadership. Listening, and that's a skill that sometimes people don't achieve very well. And expressing yourself appropriately using kind words. So what I'd like to do is kind of think about which of these most resonates with you? Like, which of these, like, is it H, U, S that you most identify with? So I'd like to start with Gavin and Mr. Crawely. After they're done, I'd like you to share your perspective as well. So Gavin, when you're talking about hustle, which part resonates with you?
I try to like encourage others to follow it. So like I mostly see people like doing the U rule, like use materials appropriately. Like in class, I see kids like playing games or stuff.
Right.
I'll just tell them to turn it off. That's like, and then also people always in the halls, like they're always like pushing each other and stuff. A lot of my friends do that, so I tell them to stop, and then they usually don't, but I try.
What gives you the courage to be able to do that? Because that's really hard to do as a middle school person.
Because then, like, I see, like, if they get in trouble, then they'll get grounded, so I don't want my friends to be in trouble. So, like, if a teacher catches them and then writes them up, it's like, I don't want that to happen, so you could prevent it by stepping up and saying something.
Very good. Outstanding. Aurelia.
I would say either T or L,
Okay.
like tasks, assignments, and homework completed, because I always try my best to get my work done on time and make sure it's like a good quality, and then listen carefully and follow directions. I like always being present in class and make sure I'm listening.
How do you, you sound like a busy person. Hockey takes a lot of time, so how do you manage your life with getting your homework done while doing those extracurriculars?
Sometimes I'll like schedule specific times so I can get things done, or I can write my assignments or tests down so I know when they're happening or when they're due.
Great. Lindsey.
I would say like the H, which is like respect, because I think it's like always important to respect people's like personal space, but also like when people are like speaking in class, you have to like listen to what they're saying and like put yourself in their perspective on like why they view things. And I think that's like very important, and like that's what a good leader should have, like respect.
Respect for self and others,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Outstanding. All right, Mr. Crawely, how about you?
So I would say that listening and expressing yourself are in my wheelhouse as a counselor. Those
Sure.
are, things that I practice every single day, and, that I try to impart to others, adults and students. But I'm going to piggyback off of Lindsey. I really liked the respect, because I feel like, in middle school, there can be a lot of conflict. There are going to be a lot of challenging situations that you're going to be put in, and you're not going to like the people that are in your class, right? But I think that, to have a healthy dialogue, to challenge each other with hustle is really powerful, to grow and to be better. And I think paramount is that, you don't have to like the other person, but you just have to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean like going out of your way to, to instigate or anything like that, but you can still coexist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really
Yeah.
important. I like that one.
It's a very unique skill, and so we're leaders at middle school. Like I've led middle school most of my professional career. Mr. Crawley's a middle school counselor. I want you to understand how rare it is that people your age are able to do that.
Yeah.
Like adults our age can't do what you guys are talking about, and so if you have the skill set to do that now, that's it's really impressive, and it's just starting. So like if you think fast forward, maybe when you're in your late 30s, 40s, and you're a high-level professional somewhere, it's going to be wonderful. You might not have wrestling, swimming, or hockey anymore. You're going to be adults, but you're going to use those ideas to do really great things. So it's actually pretty obvious and really inspiring. So thank you all for sharing about hustle. I wanted to talk to you also about, kind of dovetailing from what I just said, ethical leadership. So I put this in each podcast because, I listen to some podcasts too, and there was one episode on a leadership podcast that I listened to that talked about the principles of ethical leadership. And I feel that, and not to target one particular group, but I think in general, in society today, there aren't a lot of ethical leaders. There aren't a lot of people in big time positions that are really inspiring people anymore. So what's happening is, we're getting our leadership either from our families that are good leaders, from our counselors or school people, but other than that, it's hard to find. It really is hard to find a good leader nowadays. Yeah. And I think one of the things at Bunker Hill was, we talked about a life of purpose is in the service of others. So believe it or not, I inherently believe that I'm here to help people. To me, that's what's going to make a most productive life, is that if I get over myself and stop thinking about myself and, help my friend who's about to get in trouble in the hallway, help my team, encourage them in the pool, or different things in my own life as a dad, then I would have made the difference. And I think we're on this planet to make a difference for somebody else. That's just what I believe personally. Muhammad Ali has a quote that says, service is the rent you pay for your time here on earth. And I really, that's how I try to live my life anyway. But this particular podcast talked about 6 principles of ethical leadership. And, they are accountability, courage, character and integrity is one of them. Empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. So I'll repeat that, and I think you might have it on your papers, but accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. These are very similar to hustle in some ways not. But I'm interested in where you see yourself among the 6 and which one is most common to you. So we'll start with Aurelia. If you could talk about where you see yourself on the continuum of ethical leadership.
I think I see myself in empathy and resilience, because sometimes I'll put myself in someone else's shoes, make sure I understand what they're going through before you judge someone. And then in resilience, it means being responsible and accountable for yourself and learning that setbacks are learning opportunities.
Can you repeat what you just said, because it was really good, and I just want to hear that again. You said something about setbacks. What did you just say?
Setbacks can be learning opportunities. It's important not to get discouraged.
Very good. Outstanding. Lindsey, go ahead.
So I said probably courage and empathy, because you never know what people are going through, and sometimes people fight their own battles in their mind and also at home. So you always want to be empathetic and put yourself in somebody else's position and see how hard it truly is to be in their shoes. And then I would say courage, because I always try my best, and even when things get hard, I work through them, and I always just try to be the best I can be every day.
What happens if you have all this courage, right? Let's say, I don't know, I'll do an example of swimming, because you talked a little bit about that today. What's your event?
I do IM usually.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're doing your IM event, and then that's a whole team event, right? There's 4 that do that, or that's individual,
Yeah, there's
right?
individual,
That's
yeah.
what the I means in I. Okay, all right. So you're doing a whole bunch of different strokes in the pool, correct? Yeah. And it's probably for a long distance?
Yeah, 400
Okay,
meters.
that's you lose all sorts of energy and stuff doing that, and you're absolutely exhausted by the end,
Yeah.
right? So there might be times when you're in the pool that you're you probably want a certain time or a certain split, but you're not achieving that, and maybe it's been 4, 5, 6 meets. How do you still maintain that courage and that fight despite the fact that you're not getting the times that you want?
So I try to maintain courageous, because I know that sometimes you put in so much and you only get a little out of it, but then there will be times where you just have to keep working hard, because then you'll go to a big meet and you'll drop so much time and you'll feel so proud in the end that you didn't give up and you kept trying.
Excellent. Well said. All right, Gavin.
I try and be courageous, and I try and help out anyone I can, because everyone in the world has dreams. There's not one person that I ever met that didn't want to make something out of themselves in life. And if someone's gonna put down, I try and step up and say something. My friend, there were rumors being spread about him, so I said something to someone, and then I got stopped. No, he never said anything to him again. So if you try and motivate others to keep their dreams alive, then they'll make something good of themselves. So if you just keep others up, then it makes you feel good about yourself.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Mr. Crawely.
Absolutely. Empathy. Again, my wheelhouse as a counselor. Sure. If you've ever emailed me, I have a quote in my signature. It's from former President Barack Obama: "Empathy is the quality of character that can change the world." I think that there's a lot of noise in the world. There's so many things that are going on, and it's easy to lose focus. It's easy to be desensitized to what's going on. So just, constantly having that reminder of empathy and practicing it and using it. You never, ever know what someone else is going through. I know that, it may sound a little cheesy, but like holding the door open for someone, like when you're out in public at the Wawa, those little acts of kindness mean more to people than you will ever know. They feel seen, they have a sense of community. So that is my biggest thing.
Very good. Yeah, he mentioned Wawa. Did you ever notice that everybody holds the door for you at Wawa?
Yeah.
It's actually a thing. It's actually a thing. So Wawa has made that part of their mission, that you just hold the door open for people. And that's everybody that walks in, whether, whether they're rich, poor, or whatever. Everybody's holding the door open for you. And people actually wait. Have you ever noticed that? Like, you might be nowhere close to the door, but they wait there for you to leave. It's fantastic. Yeah. Everybody says thank you, too. It's interesting that you brought that up. That's a really interesting organization. So I'm going to flip the script a little bit. I did this for the last group, so I apologize for giving you a question that you're not prepared for. All right. So this is what I've learned in my time here on this planet, is that we don't get anywhere by ourselves. It's always somebody or a group of people that motivates us to be better than ourselves, have the courage to persevere or whatever, to define the leaders that we're supposed to be. There are many individuals in my life that did this, but one is my grandfather. I'm almost 50, but clearly my grandfather has passed at this moment. But when I was younger and he was around, he was always the GPS or the barometer that I used, that if I was going to do something, if I were to tell him I did it, would he be proud of me, right? So if the answer was, no, Mike, that was actually a really bad thing, I can't believe you said that to some person, I really couldn't go to him and say something bad I did, because I didn't want to disappoint him, right? So I'm wondering if there is a person in your life that helps keep you on the straight and narrow and helps keep you and I don't mean grounded in a punishment sort of way, but grounded, like, you got 2 feet on the ground and you know where you're going. I'm just interested in who that person in your life is, or a group of people. So while you guys are thinking, I'm going to put Mr. Crawely on the hot seat, because I'm sure as an adult he's thought about this numerous times. So while he's talking, maybe you guys can kind of think about that person in your life.
I would definitely say my parents. When I was preparing for this, I reflected on all the different values that they instilled in me as I was coming up, and everything that I practice and implement to this day. Integrity and humility, doing what's right even when no one else is looking, taking responsibility. I would use the same word, barometer. I still confer with them and run things by them, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, this happened. Or, there still is at 30 that fear of disappointment. But I think that, my mind, I'm trained to make certain decisions a certain way because of those values. And I think something that was mentioned earlier, I think it was Aurelia, and all three of you do this, we reflect. It's really important, and I challenge my students all the time, whether it's a discipline issue or just a really bad day or something's going on at home, we have to step back and reflect and learn from whatever the set of circumstances is, and so we can be better and improve and not make the same decision that kind of put us here, So I'm always reflecting. I'm always, I'm very close to my parents. Just very thankful for them.
Thank
parents. You. Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure when they see this podcast, they'll be very excited, right? So, Gavin, go ahead. Tell me who that special person is in your life.
That would probably be my Uncle Tomas. He's my dad's brother.
Okay.
He grew up in a decent environment. He got what he needed, but he was put down a lot in his life, and instead of getting put down and stopping, he used that to fuel him to do something great. So he went to college. He went to Columbia, Rutgers,
Wow.
and I think it was Stanford. It was something with an S. And he made something great out of his life. And he lives in London, so I don't see him much, but I talk to him a lot, and I'm really close with him. He helps me get through things, and he's a great person overall.
Awesome. Lindsey, go ahead.
So I would probably say my parents, just because like from a young age that like they've instilled in me like what it means to be a good person and how you practice like good morals and like being a kind and decent human. And I also like my dad always says like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Well,
And I
that's a
think
good
that's
line.
like I feel like you always have to work hard in order to achieve what you want in life. And even though like sometimes you might not get exactly what you want, you still have to like keep working and keep pushing because you have to be like strong and courageous.
Nice.
So.
Thanks for sharing. Aurelia, who's that person?
I would pick my ice hockey coach.
Okay.
She went to Cornell University, and I really look up to her because of that. She's a smart person, she's fierce, and she's always there when we need her, even on and off the ice. She sets goals for us, and she tells us how to achieve them, and she just has so many great qualities that I want to incorporate in my life and how I am as a leader. And yeah, she always keeps us positive. She's always there for us when we need her, even if it's like I can go to her when I'm excited, I can go to her when I'm sad about something. She's just always there for us.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I hope those significant people in your life get to see this video and you get to share it with them, you know. So anyway, thank you so much. That concludes all of our questions. I just want to thank you all immensely for being here. I know it's kind of outside the box for you guys, and I just appreciate the frank conversations we had, and I hope that, you know, whether you are going to Township High School, whether you're going to a private school, whether you're going to GCIT, I hope that you take these values with you, because you're in a good way very different than some people your
Yes.
age. So I just want you to know I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
and thank you for all you're doing for the culture here at the school.
Absolutely.
And I want to wish you all a happy holiday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Thank you.